Hi everyone, delonewolf here and welcome back to EVE Talk, your weekly look at the market in EVE Online. Now, it is Christmas weekend, so I definitely wish you all a very happy Christmas and a great new year as well. Maybe something to keep in mind is that the final gifts for Christmas are coming, those 24-hour gifts that you can redeem every day. It's for today, and then for Sunday is the final one. So just 2 more days and then we'll have all of our Christmas gifts from CCP. Maybe we'll get some extra gifts because of course at the moment we've got sales going on, we get a lot of specials going on in the Aurum store and things like that as well. So this is going to have a little bit of an impact on the market, I think. But overall, of course, it is Christmas, so enjoy it, guys. We are here for the market, of course, those that still come to EVE Talk religiously. So, as always, let's get started with Plex. It's going to be at 1 minute. 100. And right off the bat, we can see the impact of the sales, right? Plex down to 1,023 million, pretty much. I mean, there were a couple more on sale when I was making the ticker. And so here on the chart we can now start to see the decline in price. Of course, these final declining median daily averages are probably due to sales, so this may not be all that indicative of a general trend, but I do think that the top in November is pretty clear here, 1,230 million, and now we're down close to 1 billion. I think it's here to stay personally. After the new year, I think is when activity slowly starts to drop off naturally, because of course the excitement of the Ascension expansion will have been digested by the player base. You've been playing for a couple months. The first few people are going to start to take breaks. The one thing that could still throw a wrench in that theory is of course a major nullsec war, something like that, that could bring back a lot of players and a lot of need for plexes. But for now it is definitely looking like plex are going down, and that is going to be the case for a while, I think. Next up, multiple pallet trade certificates, not a lot of surprises here, also going down. Final price less than 1 billion, 970 million on average. Let's see where the sellers are at. Fetching orders, yeah, please do. Still 1,050 million, and then the buyers are at 950 million. So some people are selling these for less than 1 billion, apparently, considering the median daily prices. One thing that I should definitely do with Plex is take a look at the perimeter. And look at that, first Plex in perimeter going for less than 1 billion straight on the sell orders. So that is definitely a pretty big difference. Actually, all of this is now in perimeter. Look at that. The dumping has begun. You have to go up quite a little bit in order to find some plexes in the JITA station. So these are competing with each other. Down to 1 billion on the seller side, and for the buyers, not so much. So it's a closing of the margin. It's a dumping of some stocks, which I do think, well, maybe people are expecting a serious further downtrend for plexes, and honestly, I think it is definitely possible if you can still sell at a profit now for 1 billion or just above 1 billion, because these are older plex that you're still holding. Then it may be good to turn them into ISK now, wait for them to drop to like 900 or 800 million even. Not sure if that's in the cards, but 900 should be a possibility, and then take a cool 10% profit on that, or even more, of course, on the next rise of plexes. So yeah, a bit of dumping happening in the perimeter market for plexes. Pallet body resculpt next, under pressure as well, which I think is natural with Aurum sales and things like that as well. Even if you're making a profit, the first few competitors are probably going to start to come in. 260 million for the sellers, 237 for the buyers. Let's close this. You can now see that it's just a very tiny market though, so it's not as indicative of like the general economy as plexes are. Skill extractors, that could be more interesting, but I think we'll just see the very strong correlation between the extractors and the plexes themselves. If the chart wants to load, yeah, takes a little bit more time today. Maybe the server is also trying to enjoy some Christmas holidays. Let's take a look at that. Definitely going down as well. Final median daily prices don't want to load. Still a little bit buggy here and there, but the sellers are at 237 million and the buyers are at 225 million. And despite that, you can see that's already going to be 2 full pages of new skill extractors being brought in the last 24 hours. A lot of them in the last 4 or 5 hours or so as well. So the pressure is still on, and these are set to go down even further. The volumes are up quite substantially since the Ascension expansion. You can clearly see that right here. Skill injectors next. Hesitating, okay, and at the very tail end, going down slightly towards 610 million ISK. You can once again see the post-ascension increase in volumes. There's definitely more interest in these, and then to see the price increase a bit but not by too much means that, well, there is plenty of supply around as well of skill points and extractors as we've just seen, which makes this for a very nice affordable alternative for those alpha clone players that want to skill up a bit more quickly, that want to fill up their pool of skill points before deciding to actually sub to the game. Skill injectors are perfect for that. 600 million. It's a bit of work for an alpha clone, but a bit of luck in exploration, and you can definitely make that kind of money decently quickly. Supply not as much as the skill extractors. That's a bit surprising. For the first time, I'm basically only seeing a full front page of fresh skill injectors coming in. That's a bit of hesitation to dump even more of them at 623, but the perimeter trade hub is definitely competing for business when it comes to plexes and skill injectors. Here they're going down until 611 million ISK, and the buyers are going up to 602 from 601. So it's mostly on the seller side of things that a lot of activity is being taken over by the perimeter trade hub in stuff like this skill injector, which I think you can inject from anywhere in the universe, and plexes, of course, which you can also use from anywhere in the universe. So stuff that doesn't need to be moved that much is apparently very popular in the perimeter trade hub, because that's again a pretty serious premium. 624 million here in Cheetah, 611.5 million in the perimeter trade hub. Definitely worth the one jump to go and pick that up a bit more cheaply, in my opinion. So if they can keep this going, the owner must be making bank on the trade trade taxes there. That's it for the Plex related stuff. Let's move on to some minerals at 740. Let's take a look at those. Here is titanium, so not good news. We're definitely heading for 6-month lows, 1-year lows as well. Towards 5 ISK, I think is basically where we're heading now. Sellers 511, 505, a couple of very recent orders coming in. Well, 270 million is a decent amount as well at 511, and then someone definitely wants to get rid of his titanium for more than 5 ISK and is willing to dump that at 505. The buyers are at 495, so it's going to close towards 5 ISK, and then it's probably going to stay around that range unless from somewhere a huge amount of supply comes and is going to dump through the 5 ISK. Then I don't know what the bottom is going to be. For now, it is looking like 5 ISK is going to be the bottom. Here again, we can take a look, but you can see that the perimeter trade hub doesn't really have that much of an effect on the trading of titanium, because I think it needs to be moved in case of trouble, and that means that like this here in Cheetah you're 100% safe. In the trade hub, if it ever gets attacked, you're not 100% safe. And of course a lot of stocks are existing within the Cheetah station, and they're not going to move all of that to the perimeter station just yet. So that is going to take quite a bit of time to break through that inertia if people want to move all the trades to the perimeter trade hub. So titanium definitely down towards 6-month low. I'm thinking a bottom of 5 ISK at the moment, considering where the buyer's at, is a definite possibility. Would I buy at this point? Maybe. We'll see in a moment why. You may already have seen it from the ticker. Next up here we've got pyrite. Alright, trying to go up, trying to find a bottom here at around the current price range. So let's take a look at that. Sellers are at 725, the first one coming in, but still 21 million units, and then 730, 75 and 80 million units here, 735, 733. The Sellers, the buyers are at 682, 680. So here the bottom is at around 7 ISK probably. And well, we're bouncing off of that, I suspect. What is this? Yeah, around 7 ISK right here, 7.0 is where we're bouncing off a couple of times, and now we're basically also, just like titanium, slowly transitioning towards that bottom where we'll probably be for a while, because, well, supply is still well above demand at the moment. After that, we've got Mexalon. The jump off here has happened from 54 ISK, which is definitely pretty cheap, going towards 60 ISK all of a sudden. So, well, the new sellers are coming in though, full front page, a bit more than that, 1.5 front pages of new sell orders, not that big in volumes, just less than 10 million, most of them coming in for 60, 58, 57 and 56.5 ISK. Buyers are at 55.26, and apparently investors are willing to pick up any Mexalon that goes below 60 ISK. That's basically what happened here. Do we see a volume spike? Yeah, a couple of them here, and then here decent volumes as well. I think people just came in, okay, I'm gonna just pick up all of the Mexalon that's below 60 ISK. Going towards 55, 54 is a bit crazy, and this makes for that little bump. So 60 ISK apparently the bottom for Mexalon. If you can pick up some below that, I think it's pretty good for the long term. But of course, you know, the mining changes are not that great for people that are looking to make bank on minerals. It could put some continued pressure for quite a while on Mexalon. So I'm seeing us bump above 60 ISK, then go back down a little bit and just constantly bump between the buyers, which are at like 55, and then the sellers that are constantly wanting to dump more Mexalon. Then they'll have to go below 60 ISK, and so we'll keep meandering in that range, I think, in the foreseeable future. But at least, right, bottoms are forming in the high-sec minerals. Next up, we've got Isogen, still slowly heading down. That is definitely not great. Trying to defend like 64, 60 ISK here, then trying to defend, yeah, but bouncing off 60 ISK is what I'm seeing right here at the tail end on higher volume. So I once again think that yeah, basically people came in, bought everything probably below 65. If I look at the dates here, 2.5 days ago, people coming in with more Isogen below 65, and then it goes quickly 64, 63, 62.99, 62.97 for the latest sell order. So 60 probably the bottom for Isogen. Buyers are at around 60 ISK exactly, and here again, bottom formation, we can see that. Which way will it go? That's a little bit hard to say, of course. In case of a war, this could be the right time to jump in on all these minerals. In case of lower activity, but miners sticking around, and especially the null-sec mining operations still going full force, we could break these bottoms, and that could be very dangerous, or that could provide us with a much better buy opportunity as well. Next up, we've got Noxium. Heading for 1-year low, 6-month lows right here, 367 ISK. That's definitely not a lot, but sellers 375, 377, they're willing to go below 380. Buyers are 369, there's a small one. Then we have 351 for the buyers. Very, very low prices for Noxium. Once again, you do see some higher volumes, so that's a lot of dumping, but also I think the first positions will be started to be taken. If you can pick up Noxium for 350 ISK, you know, or just above that, I think you're doing a good deal. But yeah, Noxium has been very bad for more than a year now, and it's not looking like that's going to change. Oversupplied quite seriously. For the null-sec ones, we should see a different picture if we see the ticker for Megasite. So let's go for Zydrine. All right, a bit more timid, but at least we are climbing out of the early end of November, early December bottom. Currently, Zydrine is trading for 1044 ISK for the sellers, 991 ISK for the buyers. So still not as big of a jump up as what we would like to see. But here is Megasite then. That should be a nice chart. Look at that, very, very nice jump up here. We're currently going for 1270. That doesn't seem right. Nope. The chart just hasn't picked up on it yet. But someone came in, bought a lot of Megasite because the sellers are stuck at almost 1500 ISK for Megasite at the moment. I think there's some serious position taking happening because yeah, we're basically empty of Megasite. I'm gonna take this opportunity. It's like a 20% increase all of a sudden. I'm going to sell the Megasite that I still have around here that I bought for use. I'm willing to take the 20% profit right now for Megasite, because if you look at all of the other ones, I think we are bound to go back down substantially under pressure from all the other minerals as well. So a sell opportunity in Megasite is what I would call this right here. Next up, we've got Morphite slowly going up as well. What are we trying to reach here? Let's take a look at the sellers. 11,000 ISK. Okay, that's definitely pretty decent. Buyers are at 10,200. You could have bought this for 9,000 ISK easy, maybe even less than that on some good buy orders. I definitely have some of that cheap Morphite. Do you want to sell right now? It's maybe a little bit early, but what are these median daily price? 11,000 ISK. Yeah, you could probably sell if you're looking to liquidate some of your Morphite holdings, but again, a big war could push this up quite substantially once again. So we do see some ISK starting to flow into minerals here and there. Morphite up quite substantially after you could have purchased that for 8,800 ISK here. Pretty easy. That's a decent profit, and Megasite as well. The first two are showing those signs. Let's hope that it means that Zydrine is next, and that after that the high-sec minerals can also bounce back a little bit, because at the moment those are extremely low. Next up, BI, that would be at 1630. All right, writing that down, and let's go over these here. Construction blocks, well, it's not very not looking all that exciting, to be honest. We had a very strong summer and even a very strong fall as well for construction blocks, managing to stay well above 12,500. But now we're a little bit below that, and we're basically at an average price if you look at the entire 1 year chart down below here, and it looks like we're there for now. One thing to note is I suspect that January, February will see a decrease in activity in the game, especially towards March and April. The impact on PI could be very interesting, but sellers are coming in substantial numbers. Half a front page, going down towards 11,900 is for the sellers, 10,900 for the buyers. So right now we are in okay territory to sell, but we're just on the average price range with, I would say, normal PI activity compared to the games activity. And so if game activity actually decreases, the effect on PI could be very interesting. It could go both ways. If a lot of PI guys stick around, we could have very low prices and a buy opportunity. If those are the first alts to be cut, then of course we could see much higher prices and a sell opportunity. Next up, we've got consumer electronics. Very same picture, very strong summer here going down, but we're still doing okay at around 12,000 ISK. I think if you look at the 1 year chart, we're coming from quite a bit lower than that. So I wouldn't call this a buy opportunity just yet. 11,500 for the sellers, 10,900 for the buyers. You can see the lack of demand here, but the supply, well, it doesn't look like it's all that overwhelming. So again, I would wait for a later period if you're looking to make a PI investment. At the moment, you're just getting the average price, but it's looking quite okay still. Next up, we've got the coolants. If the chart wants to load, a bit of a late bloomer, right? You've got a peak in September, and you actually have a bit of a resurgence towards a really good price at the moment. So coolants are going for, yeah, a little bit of lag, but 12,550 is for the sellers, 12,131 for the buyers, definitely forced up a little bit as well. So coolants a bit late to the party, but a pretty damn good fall, and actually recovering at the moment above average. So you can definitely try to sell your coolants, which is pretty easy to make from gas planets. In fact, make some of that myself. Enriched uranium next, also late to the party, September, October, we've got a peak now going down, but again, this is no need to panic. This 12,500 ISK is still around an okay average price for enriched uranium, and you're selling for 12,900, buyers are at 12,500. So again, the impact of lower activity later through the year, I think, could create a good buy opportunity. Next up, we've got mechanical parts, very strong, actually topping right now towards 12,000 ISK. Sellers are at to almost 13,000 ISK. This is the time to be selling some mechanical parts. This again is a pattern that I'm noting here now. You had a decently weak summer, yeah, probably towards the lowest end of the mechanical part price range, 9,000 ISK, something like that for mechanical parts. And now you actually have a very strong summer here, winter here, with a peak towards 12,000 ISK happening just now. So this could be an indication that people do move their production around depending on what the market is doing, but that it seems to be a very slow process. This is a 6-month chart that is completely counter to most of the other refined planetary materials, but it's pretty good. Right, we do have some variety within the PI market, and here for mechanical parts, sell like crazy. And I definitely have a few planners that are making these as well, so this is pretty good for me. Coolant and mechanical parts, easy to make on a single planet, and good prices for those at the moment. Oxygen went a little bit low, I think towards 400 ISK was definitely low, but now we are surging back above towards 500 ISK, which is on the good side of the range, but more sellers coming in. 500 ISK is definitely okay, probably a little bit above average, not by that much. Buyers are at 477, so this is all right. It's also very, very easy to produce oxygen. Robotics next. Here we once again have the classical pattern that we've noted since we started checking PI. Strong summer, bit of a decline here, and now going for 93,000 ISK, which is around an average price. If you look at the early, at around a year ago, you can see that we were well below that. So 95,000 for the sellers, 92,000 for the buyers, and the average price 93.94. It's okay, it's still an okay price. I wouldn't panic just yet. Rocket fuel also going towards a pretty strong end here, end of the year, 12,400 ISK, definitely the highest price. Maybe not in the year, here we have a slight peak, but definitely a very respectable price at almost 13,000 ISK for rocket fuel. If you can make this, it's your time to sell. Next up, some more advanced stuff. Here is the self-harmonizing power core. You can see some speculation on the engineering complexes, and now the slow downtrend, breaking 2.5 million pretty easily. Sellers are at 2.3 million, bit above that. Buyers are at 2.1 million, and I'm actually decently convinced that you can pick up these self-harmonizing cores for the buy prices as well. Superconductors next. After a nice little peak here in December, finally going down towards, let's take a look, 15,200 for the sellers, 13,000 for the buyers, which is, yeah, a bit around here on the chart exactly. So the party is over for superconductors. You had a few weeks where you could definitely sell for a very good price, but now we're still a bit above average. It's okay. We still have a way down to go before we reach actual average prices. I would put that at 13,000 maybe. Even 12,500 doesn't seem to be all that strange. Yeah, 12,500 seems to be still around the average price. So the question is, how quickly will we go down? Is there suddenly a very big oversupply? Are we going well below 12,000 ISK? Then I would say we could see a buy opportunity. The velocity of the downtrend here is a bit worrying, but it could also spell an opportunity in the future. Test cultures next, working on the double peak 6 months ago. 16,000 ISK, now also 16,000 ISK, but going down from that. So if you have test cultures, it's time to sell. 15,200, you're probably a little bit late to the party already. Buyers are at 13,600, definitely well above average, of course. So once again, test cultures, really good one, but the velocity of the downtrend in the upcoming weeks, I think, could be pretty interesting on this one and the superconductors. And finally, wetware mainframes basically also slowly going down after an October speculative bubble on the engineering complexes, and here easily breaking down towards 2.6 million. So I think that's definitely okay as well. 2.8 for the sellers, 2.4 for the buyers. With averages at around 2.6, it means that people are actually selling to those buy orders as well. If you put it up for 2.5 million, you're gonna pick up some wetware mainframes. It could take a little bit more time for the actual pressure to show real decreased prices in these advanced PI materials. that are needed for structures, but I think it's going to happen because so far we've not really had any news on the next set of structures, which should be the drilling rigs. And so I actually think that the pressure is going to start to build more and more on these advanced PI materials, and if activity decreases a little bit as well, the demand should decrease. And I think this is of course complete speculation on my part, but I think that as plexus will continue to go down on lower activity, we should see a similar impact on PI, in my opinion. Alright, next up, Tech 1 chips, 2520, okay. We're making pretty good time. I thought I would change them out, but I completely forgot. Been pretty damn busy because it is the holidays, of course. Still, the Caracal showing a very interesting trend going down towards 10 million ISK. Very cheap for such a mainstay ship, right? It's very popular in PvP, it's part of doctrines. So 10 million for the sellers, 9 million for the buyers. We are definitely well below the averages of the last 6 months and even of the entire year. So I would suspect that at some point a major alliance is going to move in on some of these Caracals. But at the moment, very, very cheap, which is quite a surprise because you would think that this is like one of the goals for any Caldari alpha character, for alliances that are based around alpha characters. You would think that Caracals and stocks of Caracals are the first thing that they would start to be building, but nope, definitely towards 6-month low prices. Coercer next. This maybe one note, this could of course be due to the mineral prices. That people are willing to sell those Caracals for cheaper prices and still making a profit. So that's a possibility. Coercer, not much to say, staying well below 2 million ISK, 1.2 for the seller. Buyers 1.2, buyers 1.3 million. Supply seems to be decently strong, almost a full front page, including 200 of them. So the Coercer also under pressure at the moment. Dominic's next. This could be interesting to see if the minerals actually have a bit of an impact, and they definitely do if we put the chart in a decent position. We're now going down to 160 million, sellers 167 million, buyers 156. You can see the lack of demand for battleships at the moment, but the Dominic's is a very strong PvE battleship, should be decently popular. So I think what we're seeing here is the lower mineral prices impacting the battleship prices first and most. They need more minerals, of course, so the percentages probably just work out better. And as a result, Dominic's 165 million is easy to pick up, and that is very cheap historically speaking. Merlin next, doing pretty good, still at 340,000 ISK, that's not in millions of course. Sellers though coming in 320 to 89, so some people are probably picking those up because Merlins are going to be great for alpha Caldari characters. Buyers at 291. That's strange. How the hell? Oh, it's not in the same station. I thought, how the hell do you put up a sell order that's less than the buy orders? But yeah, 300,000 ISK for a Merlin. It's a bit less than average actually if you look at the start of the chart, but it doesn't look like it's crashing down like the Caracal. So maybe because it's a frigate, it has some slightly stronger demand. The Oracle next, definitely going down in price as well, towards 66 million. Sellers are at 67. That's just one of them. Then at around 70 million, let's say 70 million for the sellers, 55 million for the buyers. Some demand, but I think again here this downtrend is the mineral market starting to seep into the Tech 1 market. It's just a lot cheaper to make this stuff at the moment, so people are willing to undercut each other and still make the same profit. Next up we've got the Raven. Once again you can see the impact very clearly here, 150 million, that is very cheap. 155 for the sellers, 145 for the buyers. Very, very cheap Ravens. Again, very good PvE ship, not something that an alpha character is going to fly, but you can see the lack of demand here. And then this, I'm completely ascribing that to the lower mineral prices across the board. This just makes it that much easier to build Ravens. So overall, if people are worried about like inflation, here is a clear show that mineral rebalance can have a major impact on the affordability of Tech 1 ships. Next up here we've got the Thrasher, A bit of an anomalous bump here, but the overall trend is obviously down as well towards 1 million. Sellers are at around 1 million. That's again in the other station. 1,040,000 and 970,000 ISK for the buyers for the Minotaur Destroyer. Again, it's an alpha boat, so you're not seeing the same sharp drop off, but it's clearly under pressure from the ease of production. Here again, the Tornado going down substantially towards 59 million, 60 for the sellers, 55 for the buyers. I'm surprised by the lack of demand because Tornadoes, I think, are also useful in certain fleet compositions. So you would think that at some point big alliances would pick up on this, but nope, there is very, very low demand at the moment, going down to 60 million. Pretty damn low prices for Tornadoes as well. Tristan next. Here again, alpha characters try to boost up the price a little bit towards 700,000 ISK, but cheaper minerals, ease of production at the moment is bringing the price back to 450,000 ISK, which I think is just a bit below average. So sellers are at 450, yeah, buyers are at 361. The question is this momentum going to carry the Tristan towards 400,000 ISK, which would make it very cheap? I think if you look at the other ones, it's definitely a possibility. Next up here, we've got the Venture, went to a 6-month low, or well, close to the 6-month low that we before, 220,000. It's a bit of a resurgence, but already you can see at the tail end that we are going back down. Sellers 250,000 ISK, buyers 246,000 ISK. A couple of them for quite a few. So I think that the Ventures are basically going to bounce around this trade range at the moment. Okay, that sharp decline is a bit of a mystery to me. Not sure why it would be that sharp all of a sudden, but it's the bottom. 250,000 ISK for the Ventures, it seems like. Here is the Vexor next, the final one, pretty much confirming the mineral crash that is happening in Tech 1 ship, or the mineral related crash that is happening. If I take a look at the full 1 year chart, you can see how the Vexor has done decently well, staying around 12 million. Being up above that for a little bit as well, but now clearly breaking the averages quite substantially all of a sudden. Again, Vexor, very, very good PvE ship, very popular ship to do like level 3, level 2 missions. It can also handle like level 2, I think, transport missions, because it's got a big enough hold. So this is a great and versatile ship, but it just cannot compete with the pressure that the minerals are bringing to these Tech 1 ship production lines, and as a result, prices are crashing substantially. Sellers 10.2 million, buyers 9.9 million. Vexor heading for 10 million. That's what's happening, right? Tech 1 market under pressure from the mineral market. Next up, Tech 2, 33 minutes. I almost had to sneeze there, but I managed to hold it in. Let's move to these Tech 2 small ships. Here is the Ares, unfortunately going down in price. Oh, let's go back to the 6-month chart so we have a bit more detail. I definitely still prefer that, to be honest. So here is the Ares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, it's maybe a bit more than that. You can also move it like this. Let's go around here. That should be 6 months. So we're heading back towards 22 million. Not much to say for the Ares, unfortunately. A lot of supply a couple of days ago, coming in at 22.3 million. Not that much demand. So if you can pick him up for less than 20 million, it's probably a really good price, and you could try to hold on to that. But definitely not seeing the volatility that we would need. The Claw next. I think the stealth bombers were the only ones that were looking decent, but well, the Claw is trying. Here we have 21.5 million. You should have been able to pick those up. Now, average price 27 million. Unfortunately, that's going to have been, that's going to have been plugged, right? In the last 2 days, people came in for 27, 26, 25. 25 million, but still, if you manage to pick those up for 20 million or less, and now 25 million, it's a bit of money, it's a bit of volatility. It's good to see Interceptor, the Claw, First sign of volatility coming back in the Tech 2 market. This could have been a very small trade to make. Next up here we've got the Crow. We have one spike here in October, but other than that it's just way too flat at the current trade range, which is 23 million for the sellers, 21 million for the buyers. You can maybe try on the buy side of things, but you have to expect a spike in order to actually make some profit here. 26 million, yeah, something like that. You could make a little bit of money on the interceptors here and there if you have the patience of competing for the buy orders. Aries next, Interdictor. No, not much to say, unfortunately, staying well below 50 million. Buyers are at 42, sellers are at 46 million. Lack of demand is clearly here, right? You don't have a lot of buy orders, so you could try for a couple of cheap Arieses, wait for a big Gnostic battle, and then hope for a nice spike, but the volumes are pretty low on this ship. Flycatcher next. Anomalous data point, we're gonna ignore that, and other than that, unfortunately, again, quite a bit too stable. 55 for the buyers, 60 for the sellers. That is so small that I wouldn't risk it, to be honest. Heretic next, a Mar Interdictor. That's a bit better. Look at these bottoms here, 45 million pretty much for the bottoms, yeah, 45, and then here we have price spikes up to 58. Let's call them 55, 45 to 55. That's tradable, and currently we are actually selling pretty high, 57 million and 50 million for the buyers. So here the Heretic showing some volatility, showing some interest, so showing volume wise, well, not that great, but probably a little bit better than the Aries. Yeah, definitely more than double the Aries. So the Heretic, very interesting one. If you can pick those up for less than 45 million, definitely pretty good. And some volatility in the last few months is good to see. A couple of trade opportunities, although pretty timid ones, are visible here. Good news, I would say. The Hound next, wasn't that one up sharply last week? Yeah, so here again the first signs of volatility is pretty good. 20 million, easy to pick them up, and then here selling 27, 28 million was a possibility. We're already back towards 22 million, 21 for the sellers, in fact 18.8 for the buyers, but this shows again a little bit of volatility in some of the smaller ships. Some of the ships that are lost a bit more often makes for at least some possible trades in the Tech 2 market. Compare that to the bigger ships that have been way too stable. I consider this good news. Here is the Malediction Interceptor. Here a couple of days ago, 27 million, 23 million here, okay. Sellers 24 million, buyers 22.5. I think you have to wait basically for the buy opportunities to go towards 20 million. But then again, a little bit of volatility starting to seep in the Malediction chart as well. Manticore next. Let's take a look at that if it wants to load. Again, look at that. Bottoms here, 23 million, something like that. And then 29 to 30 million almost a bit over a week ago. Not that bad. Now the buyers are up to 22 million. The sellers are at 24 million. And this bottom was 23. So if you can pick up a few of these buy orders and hope for another one of these spikes, maybe some trading is doable here. Nemesis next, coming off of a spike. Here again we see some bottoms at 20 million, sell opportunity at 29 million. Yeah, it's good to see this volatility come back. Buyers are back to 20 million. Sellers of course coming in quite substantially towards 22.2 million as well. But at least there was this opportunity in December, which is good to see. Purifier next, also had an opportunity. Look at this big volume spike going up to 25 million. The bottom is a bit trickier to say here though. I would like to see it towards 19 million, 19.6 for the buyers. Yeah, it's where it should be. If you see this go lower towards 19 million, right? If you see these buy orders start to disappear, then of course it's your time to jump in on the Purifier market. And next up here we get the Saber, working on a lovely double spike. 48 for the bottom, 57 for the top, not that bad. 50 million for the buyers, definitely had to go up. 54.5 5 for the sellers. Well, if you pick them up here in early November, you're making a decent profit on your sales at the moment. So yeah, there you go. Tech2 market, I think, is going to be the best way for checking this market for some trade opportunities is stick to the smaller ships. Those still have the volumes to create some volatility. And so it's all about spotting the right buy opportunities and then waiting for that chance to actually sell at a profit, which happened a few times here since November, since the Ascension expansion, in fact. So I would say very, very interesting situation. And hopefully we will finally see some volatility come back to the Tech2 market. Next up, Tech3, 40.15. Yeah, I'm making good time, which is good because we're gonna check the advanced moon minerals at the end. So let's see if the pressure is still on. The confessor jumped back up, but went back to 36 million. So 33.5 for the sellers, 36.5 for the sellers, sorry, 33.5 for the buyers. And fresh supply is drying up though. So let's say 37 million as confessor price range. Hecate, what are you doing? Under pressure towards 37 million, exactly. Still 40 million for the sellers, so supply is quite a bit higher. Yep, more than a full front page, including 152, 137. Buyers are at 36 million. Honestly, if you look at these charts, if you look at these supply demand situations and the price ranges, this is a gamble, but this could be a really good one. If all of a sudden these tactical destroyers get flown again in massive fleets. So here is the Jackdaw, 36 million on the chart, 36.5 for the sellers, 34 for the buyers. Again, very low buy orders, under pressure, fresh supply maybe could be interesting. Despite these prices, still almost a full front page, including 134 of them right here coming in the last 24 hours. The oversupply situation seems to be pretty clear here. Zwepel again as well, 6-month lows, 32 million, 31.5 for the sellers, less than 30 million for the buyers. I would almost dare to risk a bit of a buy order on the Zwepel for less than 30 million, because even all the other ones are above that. It's not going to have become such a bad ship all of a sudden it's not flown, that there will be no demand anymore. So what I think is happening at the moment, to be honest, in this tactical destroyer market is that the supply chains still have so much stuff around that demand that has decreased, of course, just causes these prices to be at 6-month lows. But I think that there is a strong possibility that in case of a war, we will still see tactical destroyer fleets warp around, trying to catch bombers, trying to catch interceptors and things like that. And as a result, I think that this is a buy opportunity. It's a gamble, it's my opinion, but that's how I'm reading this. Next up for the cruisers, here is the Legion under similar pressure, right? Went to a 6-month low of 130 million, bouncing back to 140. 146 for the sellers, 137 for the buyers, but fresh supply, almost a full front page coming in again, is going to put continued pressure back on the price, I think. Next up, we've got a Loki chart. Let's take a look at that. So Tech3 in general feels like it's again, like in the summer, in an oversupply situation. Unfortunately, the buy opportunity here at 120 is over. I did think that I spotted that 2 weeks ago. I didn't make the move myself, been a little bit busy, but yeah, less than a 20 for the buyers, 140 for the sellers. That is a pretty wide margin on the increasing price here. What is supply looking like? Not that much. So a couple of weeks ago, you could have bought Lokis for 120 million. You can already sell them for 140 right now, and we are in increasing price situation. So here, clearly a bottom was formed. Next up here, we've got the Proteus is working on the bottom. Very interesting. Look at that, 140 million. Buyers, where are you at? That's going to be interesting. 131 million, sellers 144, and despite that, still almost a full front page of fresh Protei coming in. So this one is getting pretty close to a 6-month low. Here 140, you can pick those up close to that price range. Again, I think that there are buy opportunities forming in the Tech3 market. Here again with the Tengu, you can see that we are going now for 140 million, very cheap. 131 for the buyers. Man, you could pick up Tengos at 132, 133 pretty easily. 141 for the sellers, and despite that, more than a full front page of new Tengos coming in. So the tech tree market, if you're looking for some bottom prices, is definitely a good place to look for these. All of them still feel oversupplied. The tactical destroyer nerfs have had their impact, and I think that they are forming a buy opportunity. If you look at this chart here again, for the Tengu, for instance, you had this buy opportunity right here in early summer, and then here they went up in fall towards 180. That is an increase of 30 million on a purchase of 150 million. It's definitely not bad. You're making profit on that. And here again, the pattern is showing up once again in a lot of them. I would say in enough of them to say that, yeah, you should probably look into parking some ISK, not all of your ISK of course, into some of these tech tree ships. I was very successful with a couple of trades in the summer in the tactical destroyers myself. So there you go. Next up for the extra one, the final product, Advanced Moon Materials, 4540, let's say. That gives me a few seconds to look for that. And that is going to be in manufacturing, I think materials. Normally, not PI. Okay, not. Is it PI? No. Raw materials? No. Reaction materials. There we go. Advanced Moon Materials. Let's take a look at these charts. Here is crystalline carbonite heading for 6-month low price. Very interesting. I've been looking for investments in these. Why am I saying that? It's a major gamble. I've in fact bought some of them. But the reason is that with the drilling rig, CCP is set to completely switch around the moon mining mechanics, which could have a major impact on the price either way. I personally think it could be worth a bit of a gamble. Fermionic condensates also, well, around average, but a couple of low points starting to form here. So the lack of demand could maybe be a bit of a buy opportunity on these fermionic condensate. Ferrite carbides are at a high point though, really high price. Is it September, October? I gotta check if I bought these for 110. I think it's a possibility. Then I definitely need to sell, because that is pretty sharp increase. 110 ISK to 190 ISK in just a couple of months. Did I buy at this low point? I think I did, to be honest. So I'll have to check, but I think that's already a nice profit that I'm going to take if I did end up buying those. Next up, we've got some ferrogels. They're hesitating, right? We've got bottoms at 26,000, currently going for 29,000. We've been lower than that, so I probably wouldn't be buying this one. But under pressure at the tail end as well. So it looks like it increased in price up to here, and that now supply is going to put some continued pressure on the price again. And here bottoms 26,000 is probably a decent price for ferrogel. Fullerides next. I think I bought this one as well. Man, I'm gonna have to check that, because if I did buy here, which I think it is at less than 500 ISK, they're currently going for 750 ISK. I need to make my move on these. I'm pretty sure that I bought ferrogel as well. So I'll have to check that, but yeah. So ferrogel up in price substantially. So is Fullerides next. Pretty flat, slowly going down though. 7,800 ISK if you look at the 1 year chart. Maybe I should take the 1 year charts on these. Yeah, we're basically at the bottom part of it, but the only increase in price have been decently speculative. Hypersenactive fibers, very similar chart here. One may spike, but other than that, we're at pretty low prices. Worth the investment? Well, if you want to be ready for moon mining changes, maybe, but these are much more risky than some clear 6-month lows though. Which nanotransistors is slowly heading there, right? Man, again, 1 year chart is great, but you get so much more detail on the 6-month charts. 6 months ago we were going for 3,200 ISK, currently selling for 2,200 ISK. Supply demand, well, it's looking like there is a decent amount of supply. So nanotransmitters not in the best spot to buy. That was right here. for around 2000 ISK, but it's still under pressure, so maybe keep an eye on that in the upcoming weeks. Non-linear metamaterials, also below the average, right? I would put the average around 20,000 ISK, but recovering from this opportunity here, 6,700 ISK. I think if you'd bought here, that would have made a lot of sense. So unfortunately, a little bit late on the non-linear metamaterials, but well below average again. Phenolic composites, again a bottom here, September, August, and the sell opportunity is over though. You had some opportunity to sell at 1850, buying at 1400. We're heading back towards there. Buyers are at 1476. You could maybe try to pick up a couple of these, but it's not in the best position either. Phonetic metamaterials clearly going up in price, bottom forming here at 9,850. Currently selling for 11,700. You could definitely have made some money on that because the sellers are at almost 13,000 ISK for these photonic metamaterials. Plasmionic, again, right on the average. So nope, not there to sell, not there to buy. Pretty interesting to see this mixed picture. Ceramic fibers are crawling out of the hole. So basically a month ago you should have bought these because now we're on our way up. You could still try to buy the increased price at the moment, but it's much more risky than to spot the right opportunity. Terahertz metamaterials clearly going up as well after a bottom, testing the 6-month low again of 11,200. Yeah, less than 11,000. Currently going for 16,700. Quite interesting again. Could have made some money there. Titanium carbide going for 6-month highs at 200 ISK. Quite interesting. Could have bought that for 130. So here you could sell if you've made the investment. I don't think I made this one. And then tungsten carbide also at a high point. Very, very interesting in my opinion. Advanced moon materials, I should maybe check those a little bit more often because you get crystalline carbide. I would call this a buy opportunity. If you look at the 6-month chart, I'd maybe move on some of that. Fermionic condensates, maybe a buy opportunity, a bit more risky. Fornite carbide, obviously you want to sell that. Ferrogel, right smack in the middle. A couple of weeks ago you had your buy opportunity. Fullerenes, you should sell that. Hypersynaptic fibers, again for the 6-month chart it's looking like you could try to invest in that a little bit. Nanotransmitters also working towards an investment opportunity. Non-linear metamaterials below average, so maybe worth investing in, maybe worth waiting a little bit if we drop off again. Then the phenolic composites also going down substantially, so if you can see buying for 1400 in the cards, it's probably okay to try that. Then the metamaterials are going up in price, so unfortunately about a month ago is when we should have checked that and bought these. Plasmionic materials around average, I would make a move on that. Then these fibers also about a month ago you had a great buy opportunity and it's working its way up. Same here for terahertz metamaterials, so unfortunately on these three we are a bit late. Then titanium carbide you want to sell of course, and then tungsten carbide you want to sell these as well at the moment. And that's the advanced moon materials. Honestly I'm a bit surprised at the swings and differences in here. Maybe I should almost make that category as well, but that is going to start making ETH talk quite a bit longer once again. So maybe just try and check that a bit more often is what I should do. Definitely on a personal note, I must say that after the summer, when I was looking to, when I was selling those plexes, and maybe a bit before that as well, I was looking to invest some ISK, and this is when I did check this market once in a while, and I think that I did take advantage of these ferrite carbides and these fullerenes. So I'll go check that, see if I can dump those on the market for quite a bit of profit. And but that's going to be it for this ETH talk, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, I will see you next time.